What's up, math scholars and math haters? This is Mr. W. Today we're going to tackle question 11 in the 6th grade math questions that North Carolina released this past school year. The question is telling us to figure out the value of this expression here, 5r plus 1/5, and that's all in parentheses with squared over it, when r equals 0. So in order to do really well on a question like this, we'll need to know how to evaluate an expression, how to do exactly what this is asking us to do, and we'll also need to know a little bit about how exponents work. So if we're going to get started, if I'm just trying to evaluate this when r equals 0, all I'm going to do is rewrite this whole thing but instead of r, I'm going to write the number I'm plugging in for it, which is 0. And I'm going to remember that 5r is the same thing as 5 times r, so when I plug in a number for r, I should write it as 5 times that number, or 5 times 0. So now I just need to go ahead and evaluate this using order of operations. Order of operations, please expel my disrespectful algebra students. First thing I'm looking for is parentheses, and that's what I have here. Within that parentheses, I don't see another set of parentheses, so my p is done. I don't see an exponent inside my parentheses, even though there's one outside, so my e is done, just for these parentheses. I see multiplying, I see 5 times 0, and 5 times 0, I'll start writing that over here, is going to give me 0. And now, when I add 0 to 1/5, that just gives me 1/5. So I'm done evaluating my parentheses, and now I just need to figure out what 1/5 equals when I square it. This is where we get to the part of the problem where we need to know a little bit about exponents. Because if I were to write 2 cubed, and there was another question on this test where we tackled this, that's the same thing as writing 2 times itself 1, 2, 3 times. So the number of times I multiply my base number, the 2, by itself, matches the exponent. It's different from 3 squared, where I multiply 3 by itself 2 times, instead of 2 by itself 3 times. So I see 1/5 squared, and I'm going to write that as 1/5 times 1/5. And now that I've written it this way, all this boils down to is a simple multiplying fractions problem, where I multiply across my numerators, 1 times 1 equals 1, multiply across my denominators, 5 times 5 equals 25, and my answer is 1/25. Now I'm going to go over how to do this in the graded response section, because if you go to a school that uses paper tests, you're going to have to deal with this. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to write 1/25 in my answer boxes, and below each column I'm going to find the bubble that matches the symbol above it. So for my 1 column, I find my 1 bubble. For my slash column, I find my slash bubble. For my 2 column, I find my 2 bubble, and for my 5 column, you guessed it, I find my 5 bubble. So that's how I do this problem, and this is also how I answer it in the gridded response thing, for those of you who will need to end up doing that.